Okay, just before we crack into today's video, let me explain how you can help us. More and more Kiwis are waking up to the fact that New Zealand is in big trouble right now. So how can we turn this country around? The answer is through education. What does that mean? Well, it means exposing more and more people to our videos. It's as simple as that. Just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll be subscribed. What happens then? Well, when you subscribe, YouTube sends our videos out to more Kiwis. That's how it works. Subscribing is free. You'll never be charged anything. It's just that simple. So please do it and then enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Just by subscribing, you can play a big part in the solution to fixing New Zealand. Well done, you. Okay, this is my oral submission to the Treaty Principles Bill. My name is Julian Batchelor and I represent Stopco Governance. The source document for this bill is the treaty, so my submission will focus on the treaty. The treaty has 5 parts: a preamble, Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, and an affirmation. In this submission, I draw on facts and quotes from historians, and all quotes are academically referenced. I'm going to show clearly why I support David Seymour's bill and why you ought to as well. So the final English draft of the Treaty of Waitangi, I'm using the final English draft of the treaty written by James Busby and in his handwriting. Busby made it clear in his journals that the final English draft of the treaty was written by him in his handwriting and was accepted by Hobson. In every respect, this document fits the expected profile of the final English draft of the treaty. Yet the treaty in English in the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975, Schedule 1, is not in the handwriting of James Busby. It's in the handwriting of somebody called James Freeman, which means what? The government has the wrong English version of the treaty in the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975. This explains why there is a huge difference between the so-called English and Maori versions. In turn, this has given rise to the need to invent principles to reconcile the differences. There would be no need for so-called principles of the treaty if the bona fide English final draft of the treaty was in the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975, because this final English draft and the treaty in Maori are a perfect match. There you go. That is to say, if the courts or Maori or MPs or the public want to know with 100% accuracy what the treaty in Maori says, they would only need to read the final English draft. So if you'd like to fix the issue of treaty principles once and for all, then for God's sake, use the final English draft of the treaty in the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975. Amend the Act. And now to the preamble. What does it say? Well, there's the preamble. I'm not going to read it all, but if you just see the highlighted part there, establish a government, that was the main point of the preamble. It's also that Maori would cede sovereignty, but the main point here is that they would establish a government. What exactly did the British agree to in the preamble? The answer, like I've just said, is to set up a government in these islands. What kind of government? Well, the answer was a democratic, albeit in seed form, government. As the infant colony grew, so did the reality of democratic government grow. And democracies have 3 great pillars: singular government, private property security, equality of citizenship. Importantly, these are the 3 pillars of the treaty. What about Article 1? It says this: the chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs who have not joined the Confederation cede to the Queen of England forever the entire sovereignty of their country. Here in Article 1, the chiefs ceded sovereignty completely and forever. What does this mean? It means Maori handed over the complete control of their country to the British forever. Entire means entire, all of it. Not partial control, but entire control. Not the British only ruling over the British, but ruling over all citizens, including all Maori. Again, this is according to the plain reading of the treaty. When Maori talk of establishing a dual government, they are trashing their 1840 elders, breaching the treaty, and ought to be charged with treason, for this is what it is. So how do we know for certain that Maori ceded sovereignty? Well, in 1843, inside the British Parliament, in a 3-day sitting on the question of New Zealand, Lord Stanley reported to his fellow MPs, he said, quote, "It was an historical fact that in 1840 the Crown had asserted sovereignty over New Zealand, and that consequently it was incontrovertible," that's a key word, "that all of New Zealand and all of its persons inhabiting its territory lay within the dominion of the Crown," unquote. The dictionary defines the word incontrovertible as not open to question, indisputable. Conclusion: anyone who claims Maori did not cede sovereignty is living in denial, which is not just a river in Egypt. The Treaty of Waitangi superseded Hei Whakaputanga 1835. Interestingly, the British in 1840 sought out all the chiefs who signed Hei Whakaputanga, or the Declaration of Independence 1835, making sure they signed the Treaty of Waitangi. In other words, if the chiefs attained sovereignty in 1835, a fact disputed by historians, They ceded it to the British in the treaty 5 years later. On what authority do we say this? Well, renowned historian Dr. Matthew Wright says the Declaration of Independence was accepted by the Colonial Office to the extent that its signatories were sought out and collected for the Treaty of Waitangi, which superseded it. Here is another quote from Siraparana Ngata. New Zealand's greatest Maori also affirmed that Maori ceded sovereignty when he said, "Let me say one thing. Clause 1 of the treaty handed over the mana and sovereignty of New Zealand to Queen Victoria and her descendants forever." And now to Article 2. It has two parts. The first sentence says, "The Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and the tribes and to all the people of New Zealand the possession of their lands, dwellings and all their property." The key point I want us to grasp here is that the English word possession was translated as Tino Rangatiratanga by missionary Henry Williams in 1840. Tino Rangatiratanga does not guarantee Maori ownership of their land in perpetuity. If Maori sold their land, they lost possession of it and the security transferred to the new owner. Imagine how ludicrous it would be if homeowners in New Zealand today could sell their properties, take the cash, spend it, and then demand that the government reissue to them the ownership of the land they'd just sold. Come on, that would be ridiculous. It's also a complete insult to the British and to all New Zealanders who can plainly read the treaty that this idea is even being entertained in New Zealand under the flag of Tino Rangatiratanga. In fact, it's laughable and nonsensical. Such a demand would not only be laughable but nonsensical, yet these demands are being made by activists today in the name of Tino Rangatiratanga while MPs meekly nod in agreement, seemingly oblivious to the comical idea they're agreeing to. I reiterate, if after 1840 Maori chiefs Iwi and Hapu sold their land, they lost possession of it. The historical record shows without doubt that from 1840 onwards Maori went on to sell 92% of their land. It was not stolen, which is another Mount Everest-sized lie trotted out by activists with regular monotony today. It was sold. Tino Rangatiratanga does not mean Maori sovereignty, it means possession. So when Te Pāti Māori leader Rawiri Waititi uses the word Rangatiratanga, he uses it as meaning Maori sovereignty. In saying this, Rawiri is delusional. How could Maori cede sovereignty in Article 1 and then take it back in Article 2? Rawiri's ideas are also an absolute insult to the British. I therefore call on the government to affirm David Seymour's original second principle because it synchronises perfectly with the plain meaning of Sentence 1, Article 2 of the Treaty of Waitangi, that the government will honour all New Zealanders in the chieftainship of their land and all their property. Article 2, Sentence 2. Now to Article 2, Sentence 2, which reads, "But the chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs grant to the Queen the exclusive rights of purchasing such lands as the proprietors thereof may be disposed to sell at such prices as may be agreed between them and the person appointed by the Queen to purchase from them." Unquote. What did the British promise Maori here? To buy Maori land, that is all. Contrary to what activists and the media say today, the chiefs were hungry to sell their land. Acclaimed historian Dr. Payne Atwood reports, "There was a growing demand on the part of natives to dispose of their lands without government interference or control." So the twin narratives that we hear today that Maori would never sell their land and their land was stolen are manifestly untrue. Article 3. Maori are equal before the law with all other citizens. So what about Article 3? It reads like this. "In return for the cession of their sovereignty to the Queen, the Maori people of New Zealand shall be protected by the Queen of England and the rights and privileges of British subjects will be granted to them." What does that mean? Well, when Maori in 1840 became British citizens, they automatically became equal before the law with all other citizens. The cry of Maori activists today to claim superior status over all other citizens has no foundation in the treaty. In fact, it's a massive breach of the treaty. Once again, when they say these things, their minds have drifted into what I call treaty fantasy land. Therefore, if politicians want to be faithful to the treaty and not themselves breach the treaty, they have no choice but to make David's third principle law. What's that? That all New Zealanders are equal under the law with the same rights and duties. End quote. I hope you noticed that in the entire text of the treaty there was no mention of partnership with Maori or that the British would only rule over British settlers. Why are these ideas blatantly and obviously missing from the plain reading of the entire treaty? The answer is because those ideas don't exist in the treaty. They are simply not there. They are pure fantasy. They are modern-day inventions. It is oxymoronic for a country to be sovereign and have a partner in government. Partnership and sovereignty are mutually exclusive concepts. The idea that the treaty is a partnership is the greatest lie to ever come out of the courts and the mouths of judges in this country. We ought never to accept their judgments when those judgments contradict the plain reading of the treaty. Judges are not gods. They are just people, and people are fallible and very capable of corruption. I reiterate, there is no mention of partnership in the treaty. Any party or government or MP who says the treaty is a partnership is not just intellectually lazy, but they are also delusional or deliberately and knowingly lying to the people of New Zealand.
What the treaty was about was making sure there was a relationship between Crown and iwi. It's treated as akin to a partnership, whether it's formally defined as such, doesn't really matter. It is essentially a partnership.
What role should iwi play in setting our migration settings in the years to come?
Well, a huge role. I mean, they're a treaty partner, right? And so they have a say in that. And I work really closely with the MAORI members of my caucus.
So here's my summary. Finally, to the fifth and final part of the treaty, the affirmation. Here the Maori chiefs signed that they fully understood what I have just described in this submission and agreed to the same. In summary, I support David Seymour's bill becoming law because his original three principles honour the Treaty of Waitangi in every respect. If the government is sincere with its claim to want to honour the treaty and be faithful to the plain meaning of its actual words, and if they want to stop insulting the intelligence of the British and the intelligence of all New Zealanders, and they would not hesitate to make David's original three principles law. A transcript of this submission is available at stopcogovernance.kiwi. I'll also put a transcript of this video in the description of this video for you so you can download it. Thank you. Okay guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now we need your help with something. This is important. We have produced some great flyers and brochures which we want to get into the hands of all New Zealanders. So we need to go around the mainstream media. They're not going to help. In fact, they're making things a lot worse. So we have to go around them. And we need your help to make this happen. We can't do this without you. So what are we talking about? First, there is our business cards. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Then there is our latest booklet called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. It's 80 pages and packs a huge punch. So they're cheap, they're $3, and they're absolutely fantastic if you want to get a handle on what's actually happening in New Zealand. Then we have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023. Remember these? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Well, these are now free because we realized that only about a third of New Zealand houses got this booklet last when I did my tour, and so we want to get to the other 2/3. So if you do a few streets around where you live, that would be absolutely phenomenal, and they are free now. Then we have our MACA, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochure 2, which alert people to the loss of our beaches. You know, we're in danger of losing all the beaches around New Zealand. The text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free. And then we have our beautiful bumper sticker, which we've just made. And why are we doing this? Well, New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know that. First activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We don't want that. We must oppose this. This is rubbish. Where's the referendum saying that we want to change the name of the country? There was none. It was just forced on us. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more all over the place, and they're just treason. So we've got to get these bumper stickers out. So we've printed some awesome bumper stickers. They're $3 each, and they measure 21.5 by 6.5, so you can see how big that would be on your car. To get any of these free products, all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. For the products that cost something, like the bumper stickers or the little psychology booklet, it's the cost plus the courier to get them to you. So to order any of these products, just use this email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi, and we'd love to hear from you. Finally, if you want to access all the videos we've ever made, including all our most viewed and most popular videos, and have them all in one place, which is what people are asking for, then just type in this address into your browser. There it is there, https www.youtube.com/@stopcogovernance, and you'll find it goes straight to our channel. Then what you do is save this address to your computer as a favorite. Job done. Well done. Then you've got them all in one place forever. And all the new ones that are coming in get placed into that address, so you won't miss anything. Okay, last thing, please, oh please, don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the latest videos straight into your inbox. You'll never miss a video, which is great. You'll link up with like-minded people all over New Zealand, and that's very, very stimulating to have meet up with all these people who think like you. You'll be telling YouTube, I like these videos. and they will respond by advertising our videos to more Kiwis for free. It's incredible what they do, but it just relies on you replying to comments and making comments and liking things and sharing things and activity. That's what it is. It's just activity on our channel. And turning New Zealand around is simply a matter of reaching more Kiwis with the truth. So just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of your screen. The little yellow arrow is showing you where it is, and you'll be subscribed. Okay, see you next time. You guys are awesome.